Hey, what's up, everybody? This is the next episode of 6 Degrees a Pod. I'm here with Spencer Hill, retired U.S. Army, and he's got a bunch of different business ventures that we're going to talk about and some exciting scuba adventures, like a couple crypto things. And, we're going to kind of, just kind of talk and see what kind of interesting things we can get out of him. He's from a secret location, apparently, which, if you see any like static or anything like that on his video feed, that's why he's like jumping through a VPN. So, Spencer, if you want to just kind of like tell people who you are, like tell about your time in the service and what your sort of business is now. I'm really jealous because you're retired now and we're the same age, so I'm kind of mad about that. So,
Awesome. Hey, thanks for having me on. Spencer did 20 years in the service right out of high school. When you enjoyed the great college life, I went straight to work.
great,
So I
yeah,
did 20
great,
years.
yeah.
Yeah, my 20 years ended last year, 2020, as we graduated in 2000. Unfortunate for me, I probably retired in the worst possible time known to man. The start of COVID. So I had a lot of plans. I had things prepared that kind of went sideways, just like everybody else in the world. Um,
Oh yeah.
so yeah, it kind of changed the direction of where I have. It kind of slowed some things down. Um,
Hmm.
I had a great time in the service, though. I did a lot of traveling. Went to a whole bunch of different deserts. How fun is that? I enjoyed my time. I loved it, and now I'm kind of reaping that reward on the flip side.
Cool.
I know it was like 1996. I actually started scuba diving. I think we were just starting high school. Yeah,
Yeah,
we were just
I
starting high
remember
school.
you taking like, yeah, I remember you taking like lifeguard classes and scuba classes like early in high school. So,
Yeah,
so it's cool to
so
see that you're like still doing that.
when I was working for Olympic High School district actually for the pool, and the director of that pool
Hmm.
owned a scuba diving business. So he gave us all a great discount and took the course. Fortunately, I kind of stopped after that. I did the 5 dives from the course. I did probably 2 or 3, maybe 4 dives after that, and I didn't dive again for almost 17
Hmm.
years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it was a long gap, and what brought me back into it was during traveling. Actually, I was in the Philippines. I was in a place called Subic
Hmm.
Bay. It's the old naval base that they shut down.
Okay.
And one day I was just like, I want to go diving again, and then it just took off from there. That was 2017, beginning of 2017,
All
like
right.
March. So I was just a basic open water diver that had just one certification. And between March of that year to October of that year, multiple certifications, and actually started on the professional diving side, certified as a dive master, which allowed me to do assisting and
Okay.
teaching and being able to be a guide for dives, wreck sites or just whatever sites, coral, the reefs, just
Okay.
whatever area we were going to, whatever dive site we were going to. I was able to guide. And then, yeah, it was really fun. Enjoyed it. got tons of dives over there.
What's it take to be a dive master? Like, what's the amount of certifications and time involved in that? Because I know somebody who is a jump master for like the skydiving, and it
Yeah.
sounds like it's a huge amount of time that it took to get that certification.
So to start, every program's a little different. Everybody runs their programs differently. What I will tell you is, you have to have you take a swim test. Obviously, you have to be somewhat able to.
Yeah.
You have to be able to swim. So there's some swim requirements you have to do. 400-meter or 400-yard swims, 800-yard swims. Don't
Hmm.
remember. I don't have the exact, but one of them you do with mask, snorkel, and fins. One of them you just do without all that stuff. I think the 400-yard you do without anything, and the 800-yard you do with mask, snorkel, fins. You have to tread water for like 15,
Oh,
10,
okay.
15 minutes without any assistance, things like that.
Oh.
And then you get into the teaching aspect. Mine I did about a month, and it was about 4 dives a day, 7 days a week for an entire month before I actually completed
Wow.
everything. So I did a lot. I was doing, and there was, I mean,
Wow.
there were some days where it depends on weather. There were some days we didn't dive because of the weather conditions. But yeah,
Right.
I had a very intense dive master course. I was in the water for multiple hours a day.
So it sounds like a serious time commitment for doing the master course, right? Like
Oh
dive
yeah,
master. I mean, you're putting in
it's
a day's work like every day for a month.
it was definitely a commitment. Definitely a commitment. You learn a lot, and then it's just refining skills, and because it's taking your skills from you just being able to do them to you being able to slowly and methodically demonstrate the skills, and along when you become an instructor too, same thing.
Right.
It's not about being able to do it; it's about being able to show it. That makes the difference for the individual you're working with.
Yeah. And probably like they probably want you to be like so proficient at the basics that it's just like second nature to be able to explain it, you know, to a student, right? Yeah. So why there was this huge gap. I know you liked the scuba when you first started it, and then you had this huge gap. What was it that made you like after a 17-year gap go, I'm not just going to do this again, but I think I want to go like the master route. Like you just got into that Cebu Bay area and was like, I'm in love with this. Like, how'd that work out?
I love the area. I know that I was getting towards the end of my military career, which unfortunately, a lot of my military career, I was landlocked. I was landlocked in a lot of the Midwest, Kansas, Colorado, which you can do freshwater diving, altitude diving, things like that. And I have. And in El Paso, I was in another desert. It took me 2-hour drive to get to some place to dive. So places like that. And but I knew that I was getting ready to retire, and at the time, my plans were to move actually over to the Philippines. Properties there and business that we'll talk about that I had going. So I needed something to do. I didn't want to just sit around. You know, you got to be active. You got to, find the hobbies. And if I'm able to teach my hobby, then it's kind of paid for. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah. See, it's funny you say that because the guy I know who's a jump master, it's the same thing. He's like, I only do this because he's like, I enjoy it, but it pays for itself because like people will pay him to repack their canopies or like sew the harnesses, like if they have to repair their harnesses and stuff. And he was like, yeah, I do that. Plus I do the teaching and stuff so that I can just go out and do it myself. Like on my own time, it's all paid for plus some.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, that's a really good hustle.
It is. It really makes it a hobby that's can be expensive, very inexpensive.
Yeah. Cause I'm sure it's just like the jump master. I mean, all that, I mean, the tanks, the air, the gear, that stuff's expensive, So I can imagine it would help pay for it.
My gear investment, my equipment investment, it's just nothing. It's really nothing, but it's still quite expensive. I dive 2 different styles. Just for the different things I'm trying to do. I'm still learning. Even as an instructor, I'm still nowhere near, everyone when you're a diver, you're always learning. There's always something more to learn.
Right. What are the 2 styles? Like, what are the? So I wouldn't know what the difference is.
Yeah. So you have a recreational. All right. There's multiple different types of diving. You got drip diving, deep diving, wreck diving, and some of them are simultaneous. Like you can be drip diving and deep diving at the same time. And but what you have is a recreational dive style. And you have a technical dive style. Your technical diving is below the recreational limits. You're going deeper. You're going into decompression. It takes a lot more skill, takes a lot more knowledge, and there's many more steps. I haven't even started doing those yet. I'm just starting to get ready to do those. Using different gases.
Is that where you have to like start? Yeah, I was gonna say you have to start worrying about like different gases and how those like operate on the lungs and stuff, right? For like decompression and stuff like that. That's why it starts getting more technical the deeper you go.
Yeah. So the one thing I didn't think about when I was starting scuba diving, and you learn it obviously, But as I became a professional diver, I realized, wow, there's physics, all that stuff,
Yeah.
environment, tides. The knowledge you need on that is intense. But yeah, so
Uh-huh.
um,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a nitrox diver right now, and I'm actually certified to teach it.
Okay.
But that's just changing the oxygen level. We have 21% oxygen and 78 or basically 79% nitrogen. And
Hmm.
now, as a nitrox diver, you can change that, and that allows you
Okay.
to be at certain depths. Obviously, it depends on the oxygen level, how far down you can go. But there's a surface interval. You have to stay up at the surface. So you do your dive at whatever depth it is, and then there's a certain amount of time you have to stay at the surface before you go back down. That'll give you more time underwater. Changing that oxygen
Okay.
level makes that shorter. But once you get into technical diving, you're using different blends of oxygen and or different oxygen blends. But you go into something called trimix, which incorporates helium,
Okay.
which allows you to go below
Oh, yeah.
the because oxygen at certain depth at oh man, this is embarrassing too. I think 186 feet, it becomes toxic at the normal
Uh-huh.
oxygen content level.
Oh,
Obviously, if you have the higher the concentration, the shallower you have to be before that happens. But you introduce helium, which allows you to go below those depths, which is weird because I
okay.
never thought that that's
Interesting.
something
I've
you could
heard of that
use.
before that yeah, that's kind of crazy. Like I think I've heard about using the helium before and stuff, but I didn't realize that the oxygen got toxic when you go down a certain depth.
Oh
That's
yeah,
interesting.
oh yeah.
Hmm. So it, basically you've turned this into like or you're planning on turning it into like a scuba like business basically, right? Are you talking like teaching people or teaching and tours?
So, um, I just talked to a dive shop down here where I'm at, and everywhere you go, when you go international, divers, the one good thing is I can teach in Dubai, I can teach in Mexico, I can teach in the States. The only thing you have to worry about is
Uh-huh.
the laws of where you're at. So it's a job you can
Okay.
travel on and teach. You see it a lot in
Hmm.
California, a lot of instructors from foreign locations. And when you
Okay.
see them anywhere you go when you're becoming through courses, you might be in Spain, but your dive instructor could be from Argentina. It's a job that
Right,
allows you to
right.
travel freely, obviously along the areas where diving's popular.
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to somebody else a couple episodes back about being a personal trainer, and they said the same thing. It was like this skill set they had as a profession that they could literally take anywhere with them. And as soon as they went somewhere, they're just like, "I'm in business. I'll just go get clients." So it sounds like you have the same kind of portability, and that sounds really nice because you can literally go anywhere,
Yeah,
and just be like, this is my new place, for this, for 6 months or something.
yeah,
So you can go to all these kind of cool places. And I saw on your social media you're going to really cool places. You're like swimming with sharks and like coral reefs and stuff, like really nice, like perfect crystal clear blue water. And I'm like, I'm so jealous. I'm sitting here behind a computer 8 hours a day, and he's over there retired, like swimming with sharks and in crystal clear water.
So
So it's like, that's really cool. Like, what are like what are the cool things you've seen? I mean, I see some of what you post online and stuff, but I mean, you must have seen some pretty cool things.
that's the one you brought up is the wildest thing I've done as a diver. I've actually never even seen in since, well, you could say 20 years, but back in '96, and then when I started again in 2017. So I'm sitting, and this isn't a lot. I'm sitting somewhere around 200, 250 dives. I haven't looked at my computer. But that's nothing. There's
Yeah.
divers that do that in a couple months. But I got about that many.
Wow.
As you teach, you're diving all day long, or you're just doing it as recreational.
Yeah.
But I've never seen a shark, never, never once.
Wow.
So when I actually certified in Playa del Carmen, um, my instructor, uh, he was like, "Hey, my friend's gonna take me bull shark diving," and I was like, "You're crazy." I was like, "Let's do it." So it's kind of like my little graduation for passing the test, 2-day test. So we did go. I went the second time. The first time, my ears weren't equalizing right during the final day of testing, so I didn't go to the first day of bull shark diving. It was a 1-day thing. He just wanted to go again, so I went with him the second day, and my heart was racing. Bull sharks, one of the known, they're pretty dang aggressive. You know what you think.
Yeah.
And it's only what you see on TV or, from a shark attack, experience or things like that. My heart was racing fast. The only thing that gave me a little bit of confidence was that this is, the industry where I was at they was turning out divers doing this all day long, every day. So obviously I was going to be okay. It was just the fact I know I was going to be sitting around a bunch of bull sharks.
A part of you you's got to be like, I'm going to be featured on Shark Week next year, like with my arm like all bit up or something, right?
So I watched Shark Week, and there was a diver this last Shark Week that aired, and it was with Will Smith. It was the one with Will Smith. And the guy that was with him was a Navy diver or something, and in San Diego got lost his leg and his arm to a bull shark, I think it was. And I already knew that. I was like, oh great, what am I doing?
Oh no!
But it was phenomenal. I got down under the water, and it was slowly started to get my breathing under control. My heart wasn't pounding so hard. They were just gliding through the water, chilling. They didn't even care about us. They weren't paying us no attention. I don't know if I posted the video, but they got right up, around us, right over me. If I was to put my hand out, I probably could have touched a couple of them.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was exciting.
I don't think I saw a video, but I just saw a picture, and it just looked like there were tons of them. Like, it must have been at least several dozen. Like,
the one.
how many were there in that picture? It seemed like there was a lot.
So there's a bunch of other little things, but there was only about eight or nine.
Oh, maybe that's what I saw.
So, and what this area right here is those were all pregnant females that were going to a spawning grounds to just the south. And so there's a season for it. And I just caught the tail end of that season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I must have seen a bunch of the other fish then, but still, I mean, one is enough. And you've got 7, 8 of them swimming around you. It's like, I don't know about this, but that had to be intense. But at the same time, you're like, I'm seeing something that nobody else gets to see unless you're in this, unless you're, scuba diving at this time,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would imagine that most divers probably aren't even in that situation. Like if they're doing coral diving or the diving around here, it's all, cold water, what are you going to see? Like a dogfish or something, maybe? You're not going to see a bull shark or something, I don't think.
Yeah, that's very different.
But yeah.
So even my diving,
have you
I did some
done any
diving
coral
off
diving?
Catalina. What's that?
Oh, okay. Oh, I was saying, have you done any coral diving or seen anything like that where you get to see all the different biome and creature? I mean, you always see this wild stuff when you're coral diving when people post videos. I was wondering if you've seen anything like that.
So yeah, I've done some reef diving. Not a whole lot.
Okay.
I did a kelp forest dive off of Catalina. Saw a big, huge black bass. It was probably 250 pounds. Seen a couple seals.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, there's a place. I forget the name of the island. I think they just kind of named it Seal Island. It's an overnight trip from Los Angeles, and it's just hundreds and hundreds of seals everywhere.
Oh, wow.
So, I haven't done it yet, but I'm getting ready to plan that one out.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Oh, yeah.
So you were talking about how, you started scuba diving again when you went to Cebu City, but I also know that like you have property over there, or at least I think you do, and part of your retirement was going over to the Philippines, and I'm just wondering why was that the plan? Like, what do you like about there? I know you go there quite a bit. Like, what's the draw? What's the plan? Yeah. So.
Yeah, yeah. So first off, it's a tropical island, and that's always appealing to
Oh
me.
yeah.
I don't
Oh
get
yeah,
that.
yeah. Of course.
I don't get that island fever. I don't feel that, and it's a big, huge island anyway. It's not small. Even if it was a small island, I
Yeah.
don't get that constricted feeling like when we were on Oahu 20 years ago. I don't get that. I love the islands. I love the beaches. I love the water. So that was the major appeal. Obviously, the culture is very different, and it
Yeah.
is way, way cheaper there to live.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So a huge quality of life boost. Money goes a lot farther that way.
Hmm.
And yeah, so also, when was it? About 20 September 2019. So about right before the whole COVID thing.
Yeah.
I went into business with my tattoo artist actually. He was
Yeah.
doing
I heard about this.
tattoos in houses and places like that, and we had discussed. I talked to him. I just asked him. He's like, "How come you don't have a shop, man?" He's a really good artist, and
Hmm.
he didn't have the means, so we went into business, opened
Right.
up a shop about September, which was
Okay.
another venture I had, and I would again that was a whole another reason I was planning to move there. So why not? Why not start that up?
Okay. Yeah. So you could run the business.
Yeah. So I was managing the business side of it, and he was managing the art side of it because I have no drawing
Oh, okay.
skills
All
and I
right.
am not able to be an artist myself. If you want a stick figure, I might be able
Well,
to hook you up.
well, I think especially with like tattoos, like it's not even being like an artist. Like paper is 2D. Like the human body is not a
Yeah,
flat piece of paper, right? And it's all about like being able to wrap it around different body types and stuff.
yeah.
So,
The
I mean,
skin
even if I was a
qualities.
good, yeah, like skin, your skin tone, like, I mean, there's all these factors you gotta like, take into account and stuff. And I'm like, even if I was a good artist, I'd be terrified like put that art on somebody, with all those different variables. And then if you screw up, you're like, there's no erasing this. Like,
Yeah,
so you better be good at like kind of, either being perfect or like making those mistakes blend in with the overall like piece, I guess. Like, you know,
yeah,
yeah. And like there's so many like tattoo artists out there that you see where the art's just not that good. You're like, it's all right,
oh
but
yeah.
then you see other ones where you're like, that's amazing. Like,
Mhm.
so there's a huge quality like level issue too, you
Yeah,
know.
so it's just like just with tattoo artists, they're going to specialize in a certain type. Now, that's just stereotyping the whole industry everywhere you go. But just think of someone that likes to draw. They draw a certain
Yeah.
style, and it's the same for the
Yeah,
artist. They
yeah.
may like a certain style of tattooing, and that's what they're really good at. And then you go
Mhm.
outside of that style, and they may not be so good at. So they stick
Yeah,
to
yeah.
a genre or style. Some people are really good at doing like face work, portrait style tattooing,
Yeah.
but that's their comfort. That's where they do really great work. But you leave
Mhm.
that and they may not be as comfortable. Not that they're not so good. It's just that's not their comfort zone.
Right, right, right. Yeah. So is like how does it work if you're like going to go to the Philippines? Because I've talked to other people that are going to retire to like Costa Rica or something like that,
Um,
and they're like, oh, well, I also ran into a couple when my wife and I were in Jamaica. We ran into a couple where they said that they had retired to Jamaica, and we were like, how does that work? And they go, oh, well, the government will only let us be here for 6 months, and then we have to go back for 6 months, like
uh,
so you can maintain your citizenship and stuff. How does that work with the Philippines?
so yeah, so it's in flux right now because of COVID. The visa
Right, right,
that I
right.
was going to be under, it's a permanent resident status visa. Um, it's on hold right now. So they call it what is it
Okay.
called? Special resident retirement visa or special
Oh,
special
okay.
retirement resident visa. I think it's SRV. I
Hmm.
know they didn't. There's like 3 different versions of it for retirees,
Okay.
and the requirements on those and what you do to be able to retire. And it gives me permanent
Okay.
resident status, unlimited entry and exits. I could leave for six
Okay.
months or I could stay for 10 years. Everything stays the same.
Okay.
I'm still just a U.S. passport holder. Nothing changes with that. And I can't, honestly, because my
That
retirement,
sounds.
I have to keep from the military. I have to keep U.S. citizenship. Not that I'm trying to give it away.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what I was wondering. I was like, I know you wouldn't want to give it away, but I'm pretty sure with your retirement, you're going to have to keep it. So it adds like complexity. But I guess like with the Philippines, it's probably a lot easier because
Yeah,
the government probably has it already figured out because of the past relationship with the Philippines.
yeah,
Like, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's a
Huh.
little bit hard
Cool.
right now. Everything's on hold. They're not really doing anything. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Otherwise, it would have been I stay for a couple months, and then I think like monthly I'd have to extend, and which is just giving them money. And then you can stay
Okay.
X amount of time, and then you got to leave. But really, only you have to leave for like 24, 72 hours. So take a small
Oh,
little 3-day trip somewhere and come back.
yeah, yeah. So where in the Philippines are you planning on like retiring to?
So I plan on the same area that I'm at. It's where my business is actually located, it's a Longopo City and Subic Bay. Subic
Okay.
Bay was the base, the naval base, and it's also
Oh, okay.
obviously the name of the bay that's right there. But Olongapo City is where I'll be retiring to.
Okay, and it's near Cebu Bay.
Yep.
Okay, cool, cool. Because like, so that country is huge. Like, it's just because it's like there's a ton of islands, right? Like
Thousands,
that make up the Philippines. Yeah, it's like
thousands of
thousands,
islands, and
and I don't think people realize that. And it's like, so my father-in-law is from the Philippines, and we were asking him like, oh, well, how far away is your hometown from like Cebu, right? And he's like,
mm,
oh, it's like X amount of hours, and we're like, how big is the island? Like, what are
mm,
you talking about? Because when you look on the
yeah,
map, it doesn't make any sense. Like, you know.
yeah, oh yeah,
We had that same problem. We had that same problem when we went to Jamaica. We were in Montego Bay on the west coast, right?
hmm
But the capital's Kingston in the east, and we were like, oh, well, how long does it take to get to Kingston if we wanted to go check out the capital? And they're like, oh, like 7 hours, and we're like, what?
yeah. Probably the roads.
Oh, the roads in Jamaica are crazy. The first time we've been there twice now, and the
Mhm.
first time in 2010 when we were there, that we got on a bus, and I remember I'll never forget it. The driver goes, "Okay," he's like, "Nobody panic. On in this country, we drive on the left side is the right side, so we're gonna drive on the left side." And I'm like, "Okay, that's gonna really weird me out." So we're flying down the road, and it's on the left side. My brain just can't process it. I'm like, "Oh my god, we're gonna die!" Like, because like over there, it's like speed limits are just suggestions, kind of
Yep.
thing,
Yep.
and. And then all of a sudden the bus would just stop, and we're like, "Why are we stopping?" And a herd of goats would like go across the road, and they're like, "We got to stop for the goats and stuff because they're everywhere in Jamaica. Like you'll like see them up on like the hillsides and stuff like
Mm.
that. It's like it was crazy." And then when we got into the city, that was just through the country. And then we got into the city. You know how it works in America. If you honk your horn, you're ticked at somebody. Somebody's mad at you. That's the only
Yep.
time you honk the horn, right? And I don't know what it's like in the Philippines, but in Jamaica, that was just like saying hi. They're like, "Hey, I'm coming through. Move out of the way." Like, so the horns, there's constant horns, I'm like,
Yeah.
"Is there a bunch of accidents going on or what's?" They're like, "No, no, no. That's just how I'm just telling them I'm merging," or like, and I'm like, "Isn't that what the turn signal's for?"
Yeah, it's kind of the same. I think in the Philippines, it's kind of like a communication. It's has nothing to do with if I'm mad at you or you're doing something wrong. It's just like,
Yeah.
hey, yeah, I'm pulling out into the lane. And I think in a lot of different countries, road laws are suggestions. South Korea, when I
Yeah.
lived there, was another one. I was in a taxi and I told him I needed to get somewhere really fast. Well, the next thing I knew, we weren't driving on the road because it was red lights and everyone in front of him stopped. He was on the sidewalk. So
Oh my
yeah,
God.
yeah. Yeah, it's everything's a suggestion there too.
Yeah, and like in Jamaica, in the main cities, when we go through like big towns and stuff, the cars and the people, like so here it's all orderly. Like you wait for the walk sign, and then people cross the road and stuff. There, it's just a mass of people crossing the road, and the car just inches its way like through the people, and the people just part like the sea, like and you're like, what's going on?
It's kind of like that scene from Tokyo Drift. Is where was it Tokyo Drift? Yeah, it was Tokyo Drift, where they started drifting around the corner and everyone kind of just got out of the way.
Yeah, yeah, and at the time you're like, oh, it's a Fast and the Furious movie. Of course, it's like exaggerated, and I'm like, now I've seen that, I'm like, no, I don't think so. That might actually happen. Like, oh, so once you're in the Philippines and you have the tattoo side business, you're going to be doing the scuba thing. Are you going to be touring with the scuba stuff, or are you going to just kind of stay there in the Philippines?
So it's funny that you bring that up, and I haven't told anyone this, and it's kind of plays in along the types of things you're doing. If you look on YouTube and you see a lot of different dive videos, you see from like Patty or different associations, they got these amazing shots or little videos or staged. They got some really crazy good videos and pictures. But you don't see a lot of people on there like vlogging experience, like one subscriber you can go to and take you to a whole bunch of different places. Places that aren't known, places that are known. There's a lot of like reviews from companies on like gear, but not like personal experience on like, hey, maybe this is a great item, but it's not really something that a beginning diver should be using. It's probably a little bit more complicated. Different things like that. And I'm thinking I might start something like that, strapping a whole bunch of GoPros on me or whatnot, and going on a whole bunch of dives around the world. Hitting, obviously, the known places, and then looking for those off the trail, off the beaten maps, places that people don't really know about. They don't get the exposure.
Like little hidden gems that nobody
the
really.
Blue holes, obviously, those are really popular. I don't know how much it's publicized, but Dubai, Abu Dhabi, they sunk a whole bunch of stuff underwater and made like an underwater park off their coast. I think they sunk, there's like a 747 underwater that you can go diving in, and it's just something
that's cool,
unique and different. To experience. Yeah. I think I might start a channel like that. I'm thinking about it right now, going through the process, full well how that happens.
Cool.
And bull shark diving, which most people won't, so they actually get to see that firsthand person doing it and what it's like. So it might give them that encouragement to go try it, maybe. Never know.
Okay.
I got some dives in the works along the lines of this channel that are just as crazy as that.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll let you know one, and I've talked to a couple different shops. It's just like anywhere, kind of feel them out, the different shops, ones that you feel comfortable diving with for guides, because you always have them around. But I'm looking at going crocodile diving.
Ooh.
Yeah, people are doing it.
That could be interesting.
It's happening. So I wanna capture that on video. If I actually launch, get everything set up, I'm actually probably gonna premiere with that bull shark video and follow up with the crocodile one, and then slowly build up on the different dives, wreck diving, deep, cave diving, all kinds of different stuff.
Just kind of show people how those different types work and all the cool little gems that they can find if they get into it.
Yeah, just a
channel like that would actually be. Yeah, a channel like that would actually be really popular, because I've been noticing that, like, my wife likes to watch this show that it's just a guy going around to like other countries and going to like the street food in different countries that people don't normally eat and stuff, and he's just kind of like eats it and reviews it, and he's like, oh, this is really interesting. This is how they prepare it, and they're just like 10-minute clips basically. It's really well produced, but massive followings, and I'm like, he's just eating food. Like, I don't understand, but there's a huge appeal for those kind of like educational, like different off the beaten path kind of things, or even things like do it yourself things. Those are huge online. Like, people are like, this is how I redecorated my house, or this is how I built my house, or built this cool thing, and it'll be like a 20-minute video that shows the process, and it'll have millions of hits because people are like, oh, that's really interesting, I'm just going to watch it. So I think with the diving thing, that would totally like kind of play into that same like, genre.
Yeah. Hoping it shows, gets people diving that might not have thought about it, just coming across the channel maybe, or like, wow, that's cool. What happens with a lot of divers what happened to me is you get certified. Maybe you went on a vacation to Jamaica or wherever. You went diving, and then you kind of just put it in the closet and haven't done it forever. And you're like, wow, that looks awesome. I want to go there. Yeah. I mean, some of the shots you see from the diving is like, it's just so cool, and you're like, oh, that'd be really cool to experience. But I think maybe some people get intimidated by the gear and the level of knowledge do you need, what do you need to know, and maybe you can like kind of dispel that fear that people have of not knowing what to do, and they're just intimidated by it, so that's cool. What are you hoping to do with the tattoo side business? I mean, so
I was hearing that you like had some sort of like aftercare cream, but maybe, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah. So we started the tattoo shop in September, and through networking, friend of a friend over there, this guy had formulated some aftercare products. We have 7 products, and they're actually formulated by this one tattoo artist over there that's in Manila. Again, friend of a friend.
Okay.
He had started it, he had stopped it, and then there was a demand for it again, brought it back, and then he had his other ventures that he was working on and decided he wanted to sell for a very good price, very, very good price. We bought the product line, the page, the logos, all of it. And he came down and taught my business partner the formulas. I wasn't able to be there. Obviously, I was still in the military at the time, and I wasn't able to get over there for that part. So yeah, we have 7 different products. We have a website up right now. It's it's still, when a website's new, you don't get a lot of traffic. So I had hired a great marketing person over there in the Philippines, and we ran that for 3 months, and it was basically November, December, January. So that was 2020 going into 2021. Perfect timing to spend a whole bunch of money on tourist industry driven stuff that we were doing. And so, but from there, we built the web page to about 5,500 followers, and we had managed we got the website up and running, and but we didn't generate a lot of traffic through the website yet. Most of all of our traffic is still going through the Facebook page, and that's where we're driving most of everything right now, because it's that instant contact from the page. We got the website linked to the page linked to the website, vice versa, all the social media marketing that you do. And actually, in that time frame when we were building all that, we were planning basically like a tattoo convention, tattoo competition.
Oh, okay.
And I was in the process of partnering with some radio stations there for advertising, which was all through this marketing consultant. And that marketing consultant also had a very, very great connection to musicians. So we were trying to start a partnership with some musicians to be able to host like a concert, like after concert for the tattoo competitions, and that kind of got backseated. We're still waiting. We were working on venue, and I was still trying to get agreements, and yeses and nos, and it was it was still in the process of planning out, but we kind of stopped it because we weren't allowed to even have those types of gatherings. So waiting for the lockdowns and the restrictions to end over there. They either just ended another lockdown in the Philippines or they're about to end another lockdown.
Okay.
So it's not like the States. It's a little bit more controlled as far as that's going. So can't really do anything with that at the moment.
Yeah. Is
when
that
that
what are
starts
they on their
back
second
up,
lockdown? Do they open up?
When they open back up, when I can actually get over there, I'll be able to actually start planning all that stuff out. But yeah, I'm planning on doing something. Maybe invite you over, do a live broadcast over there.
That'd be cool. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, it's
so. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying it's exciting. It's just kind of waiting for it to play out.
Cool. So the other thing that I want to talk to you about that you're into, and I didn't know this until you were bringing it up to me a while ago, was you suddenly got into the crypto game. Like, what's going on with the crypto stuff?
So yeah, pretty big into it. Just like anything else, smaller investor in projects. Nothing super. It's kind of like the ones I'm in are kind of like penny stocks. Not always. I do have fractions of Bitcoin and stuff. You know how that's blown up lately. But I can tell you where where my interest really sparked was actually when Bitcoin was going through that big, huge scandal and it really wasn't worth nothing. I forget what year it was. It was a long time ago. And that famous article of the guy that spent 10,000 Bitcoin to buy like a Papa Murphy's pizza or Papa John's pizza or whatever.
Yeah.
He's probably rolling in his grave right now.
Oh yeah. For sure.
It was really hard to get into back then. And it seemed really sketchy because you basically had to deposit money into someone's bank account and then they would send you the Bitcoin. I'm like, what if they don't send it? I just lose my money.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. So I didn't do it then, and I wish I did. But it's blown up. Blockchain's gotten really huge. They're investment wise too, and this is kind of where I'm more focused at. The returns you get on just investing it, it's called staking really. So there's two main sites I use. And it's crypto.com and Nexo. Nexo is just somewhere I hold. It's kind of like an online wallet, and it generates.
It's a wallet. Okay.
It generates different interest rates on the coins. I don't really have much in there right now. The big one that I've been using is crypto.com, and just so there's like a USD coin. Which is tethered to the U.S. dollar, but it's paying 12% annual interest, paid out weekly.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's major returns right there. You're not seeing that really anywhere.
Most people's 401ks are only pulling like 5%,
Yeah, and they pay out weekly. Yeah. And I tried it in small amounts, so I've done it over the last 18 months. Upwards at the maximum level I had invested at the time was across a couple different currencies. I had about 5,000 at the peak invested. And it was anywhere from Bitcoin, I was making 6.5% annual return, and they pay out weekly, so you divide it by 52. On the USD coin, I was making 12%. On the actual crypto.com currency coin itself, I was making, at that time, it's changed since then, I was making 18%.
Oh, so
that I was playing around with that. I was seeing, if it was trusted. Can I trust this? So I started off with small amounts, and I trust it.
Yeah.
And Nexo is like that too. I haven't got into that side, but they do the same type of stuff. With Crypto.com, I
Okay.
actually have a debit card, and I can
Oh, okay.
I can sell my crypto straight into a fiat wallet and spend it, just like a bank
With the debit card?
with the debit card. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice because I think that's one thing people don't like. That's kind of something that's holding it back is the point of sale part for crypto.
Yeah.
Is you can collect it, it's earning crazy interest, but how do I spend it on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah.
And I think they need to figure out like how to do that with a debit card, and I mean they really need to figure out this point of sale issue because the long wallet addresses and stuff that normal people don't want to deal with that.
Yeah. Oh no. Those wallet addresses are crazy. You can make mistakes. There's only a few companies that actually offer like that ability to be able to within that same company or that website or wallet, being able to go from I have Bitcoin to I sold it and now I have US dollars and I can spend it, and I can do that within the seconds that it takes to make the transaction from the sale of Bitcoin to the US dollar and put it in my wallet. It's seconds. And it's really easy. So I don't have to leave it sitting in US dollar.
Yeah.
I can put it in crypto. I want to spend it, or I want to buy something, or if I want to use it, I can sell it, and I have that access.
That's cool. Yeah, I think crypto is going to be really big, and it doesn't. The coins are interesting from an economic standpoint, but I think where the real like benefit's going to be is the blockchain. Like the blockchain's the real like gold winner, of the technology, because there's so many different things we could do with blockchain voting, blockchain medical records, and I think to protect the integrity of that data, because it's all the distributed ledgers that proof check each other and stuff like that, and I mean it takes a ton of electricity and to power the cycles for those ledgers and stuff and the distributed. But I mean, I think we'll figure those out because I think the technology is like just in its like infancy. Oh yeah. And it'll blow up more as people start to adopt blockchain more for different public applications and stuff like that. So yeah,
it's definitely in the infancy. I'm actually not invested. I hold the currency, their currency. It's called Apollo FinTech, and they're well beyond their blockchain is probably the most advanced. They've got something called sharding that's on there. It's actually running on their blockchain, so there's no bloat on their blockchain. There's no forking on the blockchain on their currencies, and they actually are offering government services through blockchain. Like they're about to, if it all unfolds, you can look it up on YouTube where I've been, you can just hit Apollo FinTech. They're getting ready to start basically another new country, and they're going to run it all off blockchain, the entire government structure. They have they also have something called Stratus, which is and it's all decentralized. Everything on it's decentralized. It's replacing the social media ecosystem. They're about to start putting stuff. They're about to make releases on there. I don't know when because they haven't released them. Alternatives for like YouTube, TikTok, all that stuff. Check it out. I have it.
And they're all
still in its infancy
all blockchain
too.
supported.
Everything's blockchain based. I don't know if Stratus is on the blockchain yet. I'm pretty sure it is. Don't quote me on that. I don't know. I'm still I've been researching them.
I actually have a funny crypto blockchain story about Bitcoin when we were talking about like the trust issues with it and stuff. So I think it was probably around 2010, maybe 2011, and I'm working at a software development company in Olympia, and we have these interns that came in. They're just college kids, and they would basically just sit there and play Minecraft all day, and then do a little bit of programming if we asked them to, right? And I was talking to them one time because I was one of the only people not on site at a company. I was at our actual business location because my client didn't have seating for me or something, so I did everything like remotely with them. So I'm talking to the interns at the HQ, right, at the headquarters, and they're telling me about this Bitcoin thing, and I'm like, I don't know what this is. Do you want to explain it to me? And they're like, oh, it's like a virtual coin, where you can buy and sell stuff to other people that have Bitcoin wallets and blah blah blah. And they tried to explain it to me, but I don't think they did a very good job and all I heard was this is virtual currency, like kind of like if you were to buy like Fortnite dollars or something like that. And I'm like, I'm not spending real money on virtual like nothingness, right? And I'm like, well, how much is a coin, right? And they're like, oh, it's like $50. And I'm like, $50? I'm not, no way. $50 is a lot of money for one coin, right? And then I kind of like just forgot about this entire conversation, and then exactly, sometime around like 2017, like my coworkers were talking about Bitcoin, and I was like, God, I haven't looked at that in a long time. So I pull it up, and it's like 20 grand a coin. I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? And now it's at like 57 or something crazy like that, and I'm just like, I could have bought like $50 every week for an entire year, and I'd be fine right now. Those interns probably never worked a day in their lives. They probably all bought Bitcoin with their internship money, and they never worked their job. They were just like, I'm rich now, I'm done. I'm like, dang it, I should have listened to the interns.
Yep, should have. So I look at the currencies. Obviously, you have to research the currencies. It's kind of like a stock. They have to have a value. They have to have a purpose, something that's going to drive the value, just like anything, gold and diamonds and stocks, company, they all have to have value. And when you get them when they're just barely starting, like Bitcoin and a whole bunch of other coins, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, you get them when they're unknown, nothings, and then they blow up, and then you're a really happy camper. I see
exactly.
If you get the right cryptocurrencies, even still right now, if you pick the right ones and they explode, then it's opportunity. It's the same opportunity that we had when we had Bitcoin. We were kids, but we still had, we were older kids. We could have, if we were smart, probably bought into Amazon or Apple way back when, even though it was a little bit already past that prime. But if we invested then, right now, we wouldn't have to work. Yeah. Well, we didn't know that then.
I wouldn't have to work. Yeah.
And the thing with cryptocurrencies,
hindsight's 2020.
The thing with cryptocurrencies is they explode immensely fast. Bitcoin, and it was volatile. It went up and down and up and down, but it seemed like overnight, and I had one Bitcoin actually when it was like 2018, but it wasn't moving. It was sitting at like $3,000, and I was like fed up with it, so I got rid of it. Boy, I'm kicking myself in the butt. But it seems like overnight it went from like three. It didn't. It took a little bit of time, but it seemed like overnight it went to $60,000. I'm like, oh, crap.
Yep. Yeah.
And so
that actually happened to a coworker of mine.
It's probably happened to a few people.
Yeah.
I'm holding one that I'm hoping, the one that I was just talking about. It's been 3 years, and this is kind of the ones and it's still sub penny. It just broke like 0.007. What's that? 1,000th of a penny? 1,000th.
Yeah, something like that.
It just broke that, but so I'm up like 800% over the last 3 weeks, and it's been sitting way, way, way under the initial or the all-time high. It broke that yesterday or today, and now it's way above it. So if you find one that has value, it can do a lot for you. I actually had $50 in Bitcoin before it blew up, before it hit the 50K mark.
Oh,
so that $50 turned into 1,000 but it sat there for probably almost 2
See,
years.
yeah, I mean that's why you always hear the people in like crypto and stuff. They're like, just keep holding, because you never
Yep.
know when it's going to just explode. Basically,
Explode.
like,
They call it
you know,
hodl.
the Bitcoin's a perfect example. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, hodl. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The
Called
Bitcoin
hodl.
thing's a perfect example. Like one day it's like 20,000, and then the next day I look online and it's like 50, and I'm like, what just happened? Like over the course of a week or two, you know, I don't just exponential rise, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting like topic. Like, you know,
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, the way it works, the way that they're going to work on point of sale, the way it grows. I mean, it's just a really interesting topic.
Yeah. Now that now it's becoming more institutional now. So now it's really starting to
Yeah.
develop. You know what? For the longest time, pretty much not all, but most governments were like blocking it completely because they couldn't control it.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah,
but now
exactly.
it's becoming
Yeah.
more institutional. Businesses are starting to invest. Obviously, when for like
Yep.
that dog coin and Bitcoin, when Tesla, when Elon Musk invested in those, they exploded. So
Exploded.
when that media hits about whatever coin that you're talking about, they
Yep.
go through the roof because it's
Hmm.
becoming more legitimate.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it used to only be. I mean, it was basically a proof of concept by whoever the mysterious creator
Yeah.
of Bitcoin is. That's a whole different topic about Satoshi. But it was kind of like either a proof of concept for people that were really into technology, or it was for criminals. Those were like the only two people that were using it, basically. You know.
Yeah.
And then as time goes on, all of a sudden it's like all these like corporations are like, oh wait, there's something here. It's like, it's controlled inflation because there's only a finite number of coins. You can't just like add dollars into the economy, the Bitcoin economy, like they do for the US dollar, you know. So they're like, there's something here. So they started investing in it. And then that seems to just like, keep the cycle going, and then it just keeps climbing in value, And at this point, I never thought that it would be up at 50 something $1,000 and for Bitcoin. So now I'm like, what's the limit? Sky's the limit. Who knows?
Yeah. I didn't think when I held, so I didn't have like a full. I had like 0.8, which is still a lot. Now,
Yeah, that's a
wasn't
lot.
then. But I didn't think it was ever going to go to anything like that. Maybe eventually.
Yeah.
Because you have all those weird, predictions that were out there. 100,000, a million, 100 million. But
A million. I've heard that before.
You believe like that much of them. But I knew it wasn't going to go anywhere. It just wasn't moving. And just like stocks and things like that, when it's not moving, you're like, all right.
Yeah.
And I let it go. I really shouldn't have. Like hindsight, everything else.
Oh.
But yeah, I dabble in it.
Yeah. I mean,
I have my ones that I'm invested in. Those two sites that I invest and try to make passive income on. They work. They're really good. You holding any crypto yourself?
Cool. Yeah. I am not, but I do want to get into it. Like, it's just like, it's always about having the extra income, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I'm hoping that eventually I can have a little bit of like, play side money, and I could kind of like, do that, buy a little bit here and there, even if it's just a fraction of a Bitcoin, because 5 years down the road, could be worth, if you put in 50, it could be worth 1,000, 10,000, who knows?
Yeah.
Like, sky's the limit at this point with that thing, and then there's all these like new coins coming up, like you were saying, the penny ICOs, the initial coin offerings, like that you were talking about.
Yeah.
You could buy those for fractions of a cent, even if you only doubled your income, your initial investment. If it goes from 0.005 to 0.010, you've just doubled what you put in, and then you just get out. So it's like, if you're willing to do the work, then you can do a lot of turnover, I think, with these new crypto coins that have come out. And then long term, maybe you just hold like the more legitimate ones like Bitcoin, Ethereum, those kind of things, So, but
research.
It's a really interesting technology. Yeah.
Just research.
Yeah, yeah, be careful because there are scams. There are some.
There's
I've
tons of
heard
them.
people falling for these initial coin offering scams, and then they're like, "Where's my money?" And their money's gone, and there's no coin.
Yeah.
Like,
So
so you got to be careful.
the ones that I look at are not initial coin offerings. I probably will never do one of those. I look at
Okay,
they call them CDEs, coin distribution events. It means
okay.
it's already built. The coins, everything's already in
Oh,
existence.
okay.
Now they're just putting them on sale.
Mm. Okay, yeah, because those initial coin offerings are they're sketchy. Like,
Oh yeah.
there'll be a company that comes up, and it's like, well, maybe.
Okay. There we
Oh,
go.
there we go. There we go.
Yeah, it did the same. It's weird.
Technical
It just did the
difficulties.
same thing it did.
Yeah,
My,
the
my
joys of
top secret
technology.
bunker.
Yeah, from your top secret bunker, we're having issues. That doesn't surprise me. So what are your plans for the future? I mean, you're retired now. I mean, we're still young-ish, and you're
Yeah.
retired. You got scuba, you got crypto, you got the tattoo thing. It sounds like you're just killing it on multiple fronts and trying to do what I'm trying to do, like the multiple hustles going on.
Yeah.
And
The
yeah,
multiple ventures.
yeah,
It's yeah, it's a lot of passion driven. As you can see, I like my ink. The crypto is just interesting to me, and I honestly don't even fully understand blockchain. Go figure. I'm still learning about it, and like scuba diving, I just passionate now. Now that I have that time, and now that's what I'm focusing on. It's just kind of like you.
yeah,
Well, you got that awesome computer science degree, and you're moving into the podcasting and things like that, and hopefully eventually you're
yeah,
driving more towards passion instead of less of having to do things you have to do to survive. Now you're doing the
right,
things to survive that you want to do that support what you're doing.
yeah.
And same thing as you. I got all these different ventures, and hopefully it starts
Right.
becoming the lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't want to keep working just to get by and like just
Yeah.
pay those bills and kind of like string along. I want to that's part of why I'm doing this is like so I can move into things that I find interesting, and if I'm lucky, those will become lucrative or at least be able to sustain my bills, and I could do something that I enjoy as opposed to something that I just have to do to make it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so no, it was a little bit after I got out of the military. I started in October, this last October. I started working for AWS, and I was working security at a data center, actual AWS employee, not contracted guard force. But I was going right back into that grind of working to live, to pay.
Right.
I wasn't doing anything. Wasn't going anywhere. Just going to work and going home. And that's actually why all these things like this, the YouTube channel that I'm kind of trying to work through and get put together. It was kind of inspired by what you're doing too, just along my experience lines. Just kind of jumping out into a leap of faith with everything. And it's like, okay, time to get away from the normal. That's fine. That's great. Some people might like that, but needs to be something different.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like I was talking to somebody else last episode about this, that it seems like a lot of people like our age and our generation are working these multiple side hustles and stuff. Like you have our main jobs, but we're also trying to make other things work, whether it's like Bitcoin investments or YouTube channels or podcasting or whatever, whatever it is, some hustle on the side, and we were talking, I don't remember if it was during the podcast or after when we were doing some technical stuff afterwards, but we were thinking that it's because we've gone through several major economic downturns. Like I graduated right when the economy crashed, right? And like the 2008 crash, and I'm like, that's not good. I was able to get a job, but in the IT field, there was about a 2-year delay before it hit the IT field because, it takes a while. People's houses foreclose. There's like, months and months go by. And then, so it's like, it doesn't all just happen at once. Mm-hmm. So it's like 2010 and I'm like working this job and I had actually interned here. So they were like, oh, come on and be a real employee now. And I'm like, cool, I've got this contracting job, doing IT stuff. This is cool. I'm like fresh out of school basically. And then I think like maybe 9 months later, they're like, hey, can you come to the office? And they're like, we got to let you go. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me, and it was strictly because it was like, you're the newest person here. So we can't bill you out as high as we can other people. Mm-hmm. So the profit margin on you is less, basically. So it just was pure numbers for them, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, but I was about to buy a house. I'm about to get married. You got to be kidding me. Like, no joke. I think this was 3 weeks before we got married. 3 weeks before our wedding. Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
Perfect news to give for a future wife.
Oh God, the worst timing possible, So I remember being in the car and I'm like, can I? And I even asked them, I'm like, can I just stick around, until after I get married and stuff? Like, it's just another 3 weeks, but until the house closes and we can we'll have a house and stuff. And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, can I stay through the day? And they're like, no, just leave. And I'm like, okay. So I leave, and I remember being in the car, and I call up my wife, and it's 3 weeks before our wedding. And I'm like, so yeah, I don't have a job anymore. And we're like, well, I guess we'll have to figure this out. It's like, let's do all the difficult stuff, like losing your job and losing a house. Let's do that at the beginning of the marriage, so we just get that kind of hard stuff out of the way, right?
Yeah.
And
Nightmare.
I remember, like, mom and dad had already like bought us like a honeymoon trip to Jamaica, right? Mm-hmm. And we were there for like 7 nights or something. And I think on like night 6 or something, I'm like, what are we going to do when we get back? I don't have a job. It's like, I don't even have I even stopped I just moved out of my rental too. And I'm like, oh crap. We got to figure this out now because we're headed back to the States tomorrow. So yeah, crazy adventures in economic downturns. But the point is that I think a lot of us are working these side hustles and passions because we're terrified that the carpet's going to get pulled out from underneath us again, because we've had 2008 was the big one, but even since then, the economy, it looks good on paper, but it's like, we're just like, I don't know if I can trust those numbers, so we're always trying to protect ourselves, I think, because we're terrified that's going to happen again, and we'll just get the carpet pulled out from underneath us. So I think there's just tons of side hustles going on for people our age because we were like, always have a backup plan, always have something going on the side.
I think yeah. I mean, we're off the tail end of baby boomers and what they did. And I think we worked, generational. We were hardworking. Yeah. You go to work, you do your thing, you work, you earn what you're getting, whatever your salary may be or your benefits may be through hard work. But we also turn to the fact that we don't like to have to be dependent on someone else, to be able to generate everything ourselves. And so that everything's based off of your hard work and your determination, and you're controlling that destiny, based on how how that turns out. If you're selling a product, people obviously have to need to buy it, but it's based on you and not boss or a company or saying, hey,
exactly,
you're really good, but you're the youngest dude here, so you're fired.
Yeah. So see you later. It's like, oh wow, okay. Yeah, I mean, I think we just want control, like, and a little bit of that extra security, and I think that's why everybody's doing these like side hustles and stuff. So, and I mean, you're retired now, and you're still going to do the side hustles because it's all about like having that control over your destiny and your livelihood. Without having somebody else go, we don't really want you anymore. Just pound sand, get out of here.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
cool. So do you have like, so I've been doing something new lately where I've been asking if there's anybody else you know of that has some interesting like hobby or career or something that I can possibly talk to. That way we keep the six degrees of separation that the podcast is kind of based on,
Yeah,
like
awesome.
going, like I'm trying to do this spider web out, kind of thing.
Mhm.
So if you could just like throw out like 2 or 3 names, if you can think of them, and maybe
Um,
off air, we can like talk about contact information and kind of tell me who they are and what they do.
yeah. I got two names that I could throw out
Okay.
there. One international, so I think that'd be pretty interesting for you. My business partner over there in the Philippines.
Okay.
I think that'd be pretty interesting one. Also, uh, another guy that I don't know if he'll be able to because it's based on work schedule. He was my
Okay.
instructor development course for my instructor development course
Okay.
for teaching. He's been in diving for forever. He's also a regional director for Crescent, uh, one of the companies that sells dive equipment.
Okay.
So yeah,
Cool.
his name's
All right.
Rodolfo,
Cool.
and the other guy's name,
Okay.
my business partner, his name's Mark. I think those are probably
Okay.
two interesting ones that you would enjoy being able to talk with.
All right, that's cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let you go because we've been going for a while, and I want to be respectful of your time. But also, you're having technical issues.
Yeah.
So from your secret bunker, we're gonna fix these off air after we stop recording. So if you could stay online after we sign off. So next week, everybody, I'm gonna have an old classmate of mine on, JJ Zettel. We're gonna be talking about his passion for like off-roading and four-wheel drive. He's like a tinkerer, does all kinds of like car modifications and stuff. And we're going to be talking about also works in IT. So we're going to be talking about some emerging technologies and kind of the impact that those are going to have. So thanks everybody for watching, and tune in next week. Thanks.